to a workshop or a presentation that really was about how to build relationships. So I think that in that section, what would be helpful is if you have had particular experiences or whatever your experiences have been in terms of recruitment, particularly around recruiting diverse audiences, what have your efforts to build that audience look like, where it may be that it didn't start as an intentional process of recruitment for this particular program, but rather of relationship building. I think sharing any details with respect to what the challenges and opportunities you experienced in doing that or that you anticipate, I think would be really helpful in many ways. One, I think it helps others hear about strategies that are currently being used by colleagues across the system, and two, I think it also there's some breathing room that it provides folks in hearing the challenges that come with recruitment, because I think sometimes folks get somewhat turned off or go back to business as usual when they try to reach new audiences are not successful immediately, and we know that it's kind of a long haul type of endeavor. And so anything that helps to highlight the challenges, the opportunities, the ways in which your program is benefiting or stands to benefit from that enhanced recruitment, those enhanced recruitment efforts, I think those would be great pieces to include in there.
Okay, that's definitely not how I was reading that. So that clarifies a lot. Thank you.
Well, I just think that we're a learning community. I think that the more I give thought to this is that people are really wanting examples. And I think that to say that this is going to happen overnight, or to give the illusion that we're going to go from an organization that has historically served, white middle class folks, to an organization that successfully, serves everyone is not. It's not real. It's not authentic. It's not going to happen that way. And so I think anything that illustrates the small and I would say small and brave steps that we're taking towards that is really worth highlighting, and it's just as important.
Thank you.
So kind of a follow-up question on that, Shana, how will you grow your audience is kind of how I describe that section of program planning. That's how I typically describe it. Are there other words that we should use to describe that, or, succinctly describe that?
No, I guess I was trying to, and I'm thinking specifically for like writing the art, like, for me, this project was about getting ready for the RFP and kind of really gathering as much as I can and thinking about the audience. Like I think of that working out loud concept and sharing what I've gathered and doing all that. I did not take it to the diversity perspective that Eduardo had brought up. So I was in a totally different concept of how that would look like. And I was thinking collaborations and building things up. So I can see now taking it from that perspective, I can put it totally in the context that you're looking. I wasn't going there as far as the diversity kind of concepts that Eduardo brought up. I don't know about language.
Yeah, I think, Celeste, that speaks to one of the challenges that, our team has certainly gone back and forth is to what intentionality do we use in terms of language to specifically talk about diversity, knowing that for some folks, diversity has become a dirty word or a trigger word for some folks. And I think that we've talked about it in the interest of making sure of ensuring that people are thinking about, this holistically, whatever, in terms of recruitment, that there is an understanding that is about diversity. And I think this is where that kind of either or dichotomous thinking around do we do it or do we not do it, becomes a bit of a challenge, because I want to believe that people are thinking about this very intentionally and automatically, that it's a given. And I think that in some places that is the case, and in other places, unless we're constantly reminding folks, then it does get lost.
Well, I think it's a practice. Just like evaluation is a practice, like program development is a practice, thinking about growing our our audiences and reaching diverse audiences is a practice. Like yoga is a practice, or exercise, or mental health. Like it's all, you have to you do have to remind yourself. And after a while, it becomes a habit. But PDLC is all about creating good practices for your programs. And so, yeah, if you think of other language that I could be using, because that's the same language that appears in, if you looked at the draft plans of work in our reporting system, it says, how are you growing your audience? So that's kind of how I think about that. I'm always trying to think about what's the trigger question to help people think about not just who's coming to the table, but who do we want to, who do we want to make sure we're inviting to the table? Anyway,
I think, Eduardo, when you use the word holistically, it takes it to me to think bigger than, to me that just says bigger when you say, like, how you grow an audience holistically. So me, I think horizontally, vertically, diversify, like all of those things kind of come into play when you said the holistically. I don't know if there's a way to put that in there, or list, just in parentheses, just to give. For me, I did need that trigger, because I'm thinking of a literally black and white piece of paper coming out and me writing exactly as they say, the sentences and the paragraphs and all of that. I was not thinking about, we do work with a tremendously diverse audience with Eat Smart New York. And that, I guess that's a given for us.
Right.
So it didn't cross my mind. So thank you.
Right. Okay, so I added a folder to this presentation information folder that says PDLC draft, one pager's a place to post your draft, because I'm not sure that I had a place for you to put your draft one pager. Okay, so does that make sense? Are you willing to put when you have something ready to be formatted, if you put it in there, and then I'll make sure that Alyssa is checking that out. And as they come in, this is typically what has happened. As they come in, she works on them so that, it's not all one big, doesn't take her a whole day. She can do them a little bit at a time. So it's okay if you drop a picture right inside the one pager, even if it ends up taking 2 pages and she'll kind of figure it all out. Or if you drop your one pager in and then also have a couple of JPEGs that you include, if you can make sure that you label things with your name, then she'll make sure that it ends up in the right place, because I might catch it, but she might not catch if she puts the wrong person or the wrong in the wrong one pager. So does that all make sense to everybody?
Just to clarify, we got to go to that spot, not like I put in my box already. I already put my photo. I got to put it in this.
Yeah, if you can drag it in here, then it'll all be in one place for her to find.
Okay.
Okay.
I will try to do that. The box, I am not a fan of the box.
Okay.
Seems to challenge me.
Heidi, if you run into, I know you're heading out for vacation, so if you run into challenges, just send me an email and let me know where it is, and I'll take care of it.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
No worries. All right. If anybody has any questions about this as you're starting to work on it, reach out, let me know. No worries. I will help with that. And like I said, let me make a note to just make sure I send the link to the folder where everything is. I did start recording late, so if you have colleagues that are not on today, they might be a little confused. They missed our greeting anyway, and a little bit of the start of this part. So just know that you might get some questions too.
Celeste,
all right. Yep.
Is there a hard deadline by which you need those one pagers to not be chaos on your end and for Alyssa and whoever's helping?
Let's see. Let me look at my calendar here. The last couple of weeks have just been so crazy. How about the 24th? Does that seem reasonable? That work for everybody? Anybody have any problem with that? That gives a full week. And again, it's just the one-pagers. It's not the, I would expect that you'll bring the PowerPoint with you on a flash drive.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to open up the draft agenda. We'll walk through it a little bit and then go into breakout rooms and see if anybody, you know, like in your small groups, if you want to like tease out any burning questions that you might be afraid to ask or haven't thought of yet that you might be able to pull out from each other, and then we'll come back together. Okay, sound good? So you may have seen this. I don't think it's really changed too much. You know, we'll start with a welcome and a check-in and some team building sort of things, talk about the goals for the retreat.
So we're not seeing the agenda.
Oh, thank you. I love that. We can keep me on board here. Let me share the Word document. There we go. Better? Perfect. Now I got to figure out how to go up and down. That's interesting. There we go. Okay, so Riley Robb, we're in the same place we were last time. We'll start with team building. Goals for the retreat include thinking about your presentations, perfecting the pitch, connecting with each other, finding funding. Actually, we are not working on the funding piece. So I can remove that. Choosing evaluation strategies, thinking about passing this on to colleagues. Part of PDLC is the hope that, you know, the reason we bring program leaders and resource educators and those of you in leadership programmatic roles into PDLC is that the hope is that you will then share it with your colleagues, both folks that you might supervise and other people in your office and other people in your region. So we'll kind of do some intentional thinking about that. We'll look back at program definitions and standards. And Eskadar is going to join us for a little bit of thinking about strategic planning. Let's see, this doesn't look like, I must have not added this to this version, but Adam Hughes, one of our state extension specialists, is also going to join us during that time. And there was a strategic planning committee that worked on resources for associations primarily that want to think about creating their own strategic plan. So Adam is going to talk about where to find some of those resources and help to think about you know, how you might help lead some strategic planning efforts in your association. So Eskadar will talk about our organizational strategic planning programs and what's going on there, and Adam will talk about how you can use these resources and this thinking to continue the thinking locally. All right, we'll have some chance to do some practicing. So this is the first day again, and the reception mixer is there on the first day, 2:30 to 4:30. Business professional, business attire. You know, just, you know, you saw the list of people that were invited. I will send a little more details once we have everybody's presentation topic pinned down, and you know, we have you assigned to rooms. We're going to be in 3 different rooms during that time, all in Riley Robb. It's sort of Heidi mentioned public presentations. It's very much for each public presentation style sorted out into rooms. There's no judging, but there will be somebody to you know, warmly welcome the next presentation. All right, we'll have dinner again at the Moakley House, and yeah, this must not be the latest version because I know I have this filled in. June Mead is going to be joining us along with Asia and Eduardo. Do you know what Asia's last name is? I don't know if he's still on. Asia Ambler. Asia is they're both work for Cornell Cooperative Extension of Broome County. June, if you haven't met her before, has worked with our children, youth, families at risk programs for, 25 years or so. And Asia was a former participant in one of the CIFAR project programs and now an educator in Broome County. And so they're going to just share a little bit about their experience of growing new audiences, as a matter of fact. And June is delightful. Asia is delightful. It'll be good presentation, dinner conversation for sure. So, and Chris Watkins is going to be joining us for dinner as well.
I would also add that Asia is a current member of the 4-H diversity and inclusion cohort. So if any of you have any questions around that experience, she's a wonderful person to connect with around that as well.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. And day 2 is going to be focused on evaluation, primarily some of the other things that we do, the collegial mentoring and thinking about, like the what's next. But Monica Hargraves, the Associate Director for Cornell Office of Research on Evaluation, is going to be joining us. And I would encourage you to bring, if you have, maybe you have a survey that you've been working on that you feel like might need some help, or a survey that you did work on that you like but could, want some more feedback, bring a survey, because we're going to be doing a little bit about survey design and golden rules for survey design, and then also have some time to kind of reflect and hear from each other how to make a survey a little bit better. Okay, so that's what's planned for our closing time together for PDLC. Does that sound pretty good? Let's see if we can, we're gonna just go into, let's say, 3 rooms, and we'll just randomly assign people, and maybe 10 minutes. Does that sound all right? 10 minutes to take a look. Think about what questions you might have, and then bring them back, and then we'll wrap up. Sound good to everybody? Okay, so I'm gonna put my timer on and press the button. Here we go. All right. And Eduardo, you don't need to join a room if you don't want to.
Yeah, I declined the invitation.
Okay, there you go. So, I couldn't figure out a way to keep you.
I figured as much. So I figured we'd have a few minutes to check in, and you're in Colorado. What time is it in Colorado? Is it what time is it?
Isn't it? 8:48. It's 8:48. Okay, welcome back. Welcome back. Yay.
Hello.
All right, so did you come up with some to-dos for me, or questions, or or was it all clear and you were able to take a little break? Or tell me what I need to know.
We're really planning to flail through. It'll be fine.
Yeah, we didn't have any major concerns.
Okay. Nobody?
Oh, someone asked in our group. Oh,
go ahead.
Just clarifying that, I think I remember you saying in a previous call that PowerPoints are encouraged but not absolutely necessary if someone had a different idea of how they wanted to present.
Sure. Yep.
Okay.
Now, as far as pictures go, like I can pull pictures from other programs that might show the same kind of concept.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that kind of what you're looking for?
Sure.
Or?
Yep. Okay. It could even be an icon, if you had some kind of visual image, just to help people focus in on what you're sharing.
Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Anything else? All right. Well, that's good. Well, I hope you don't feel like that was a waste of time. I just wanted you to be able to tease questions out of each other if you weren't feeling like you just throw it out there to begin with. So very good. All right. I have a couple of other things, like just little notes to I want to make sure if you have not sent the title of your presentation to April Tan, she's a student, you should have gotten an email message from her last week. AT566 is her net ID. Please do send it to her. She's pulling together our little our little handout for those coming to the presentations. And it's also how we'll try to make sure that the rooms are even, but we'll try to get your teams together so that you can hear each other's presentations. The other thing that we talked about is before everybody got on was the question about whether or not to make these available by Zoom live. I have some hesitancy to do that. We have talked about it the last couple of years, like, gee, wouldn't it be great if people could watch these? But your comfort and my sanity are are kind of up there as want to make sure that you're comfortable and the audience there knows that they're the key audience. So I'm not sure that what I would like to, here's my proposal. I'm going to propose that we record them by Zoom so that we have them, and then you can see them and you can share them with somebody who might not have been able to see it that would like to. And if you have somebody back home that really wants to watch your presentation, we can give them that link, but to not broadcast it out there so that the whole world can also join. That's my proposal, but I'm open to discussion for that.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Also.
Okay.
I think so too.
Okay. All right.
I like the idea of being able to share a recording afterwards.
Okay.
That'd be good for some off-campus collaborators. But
Okay.
that could be optional if people don't want to do it.
Absolutely. Right. I could give the recording to you so that you could, you could make that decision. The other thing that we can do is based on those, there may be some follow-up sharing or presentations that we do in the coming months, to schedule out based on your comfort, the interest, if it's an opportunity for others to collaborate with you on. So we'll go with that idea. We'll record and share link with the presenter. So for those of you who may have somebody back home that wants to definitely watch your presentation, if you can reach out to me by email so that I can make sure that we can make that happen, that would be great. All right. Eduardo, do you have some things that you would like to share? You're muted, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I do. And I realize that one thing that I did want to share is that there is an opening doors workshop that's coming up. For those of you who are in or closer to the Hudson Valley, this is going to be held at the Omega Institute May 7th through the 9th. And I realize that the timing might be off because you will be on campus the week before. So I will put that information up on the Moodle so that folks have it. I may have shared it previously, but for those of you who are interested in taking a deeper dive on some of the frameworks and some of the conversations that we started at the beginning of this program with my piece on diversity, equity, and inclusion, this would be an opportunity for that. And then the other one is just I wanted to share with folks a podcast that a colleague shared with me, and it's a podcast that is really, again, contributing to my thinking around our ongoing work around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And beyond that, just my interest in how do we keep empathy, compassion, and love central or centered in our conversations around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so some of you might be familiar with Richard Davidson. He's a neuroscientist. And he's writing and speaking a lot more about the connections of the important connection between love and learning. And I think it's something that as educators, it's something that we might want to tune into, because I think that oftentimes there's a way that we focus on, the intellectual aspects of learning, or the ways in which, you know, kind of the brain, the cognitive functions of the brain, and we do that at the exclusion of emotions, and emotions do play a significant role in learning, and how we deal with, you know, how we deal with traumatic experience, how we build resiliency. And so I just think it's a wonderful webinar, a wonderful podcast in which he brings a lot of his research and his work, the research he's done around the important role of not thinking of ourselves solely as intellectual individuals or in our intellectual capacity, but also our emotional capacity, and how those two pieces are really important to processes that involve learning and learning from one another. And so I just shared the link. It's Krista Tibbett, I believe, On Being is the series, and I find her pod series really fascinating. So it's just something I wanted to share for the good of the cause.
Thank you, Eduardo. Would you be willing to put those in the announcements in our Moodle?
I will do that, yes.
That way it'll go out to everybody. Both that and Opening Doors, the link to registration for Opening Doors would be great. Okay, anything else for the good of the whole? All right, well, I think that's a wrap then. Reach out if you have any questions. Enjoy the rest of the week, especially for those of you who are taking time with family and traveling. Safe travels. Yeah, enjoy the weekend ahead. Okay?
Thanks, Celeste, and safe travels back.
Yes,
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.